Hi, everybody. This is Bob Dignan from the Champaign Church of Christ. I'm here filming in my home office because, like many people, this day and age, in March of 2020, we are in times of social distancing and self-isolation as we ride out and try to curb the infection rate of COVID-19. I've been wanting to do something for quite a while, but it requires volunteers from the church body here in Champaign. And I thought this might be like the perfect time to roll out this project. It requires volunteers from members of the congregation. And I'm going to kind of walk you through what's needed and why it would be an amazing benefit to be working on it. And if you know me, you know I work in media production, and also I have lots of interests. They're all over the place, but one of the things that I'm very passionate about is accessibility, especially media accessibility, in making media accessible for all sorts of people. You think primarily when you hear accessibility, you think of people maybe with deaf or hard of hearing abilities or disabilities. And then you also hear and think about people maybe who are blind or low vision, trying to access our materials, thinking about our sermons and our classes. And I don't know, much to my shame, it's been 5, 6, 7 years of spearheading the media production for our church, putting sermons online and out there via podcasts and everything, live streaming our service. And we haven't really done enough to cover the accessibility needs that should be standard with everything we do. When you think about people being able to come to Jesus, Jesus saying, kind of anybody can come to me. That includes folks of all walks of life, some of whom might not be able to hear when we are presenting messages in spoken language, or see when we're trying to present content visually. This video right now is just me sitting in my home office with a microphone in front of me, talking with some glasses and a hat on, a U of I hat. But you know, even in just that short description, you notice there are so many things that people with eyesight are just taking in all at once that haven't been described yet for those that are visually impaired or low vision. So that brings me to this project. I recently discovered an app that can run on a computer that makes captioning of our sermons very, very easy. So this app actually allows you to transcribe sermon content or lesson content, audio files, and then we would have both a Word document version of what was said in that audio file, and we could have time-based captions that could go on the video version of that file. And I thought this was the perfect time because many people are working from home and might be finding themselves with not a whole lot to do or trying to find ways to plug in. And there's probably an increased amount of individual study that's happening, individual Bible study, in lieu of, you know, constant Bible classes and things going out. I'm sure over the next coming weeks and months, we will develop an infrastructure to push out that Bible teaching from the church, and it will be kind of quote unquote official. But we've got a backlog of years and years of audio files that you could be going through, both in personal study and while you're studying that, be working in this app. So I just want to kind of show you how simple the app is, and then I'll give you information at the end of the video to reach out and get in touch and become part of the team that might be doing this. So I'm going to switch over to my desktop view so you can see my desktop here. I've got a web page. I think I'm still recording. Yes, I've got a web page here. This is our champagnechurch.tv website. And this is kind of like the web browser version of skimming all of our media content. You can kind of see the front page has lots of different stuff. But really, the meat of it, once you dig down into media, you get all sorts of ways to kind of sort through things. So if I go to Sunday Lessons, Sermons Audio, this has hundreds of sermon audio. I mean, I'm thinking back to 2013, I think we have in here, possibly. And almost none of it has a transcript provided of what was said during that audio or captions. So that when I'm in this system, clicking on one of our last lessons together as a church, accountability, and I play this audio, people with deaf or hard of hearing issues cannot access this content. It's just silent or hard to hear for them. And so what I want to do is encourage people to join the team, to be going through our back catalog, and to be part of the front lines doing things as we go. And what that will mean is working with an app. I'm pulling up the app here. It's called Descript, Descript, Descript. And it's a super simple app. When I discovered this service in this app, I realized now we could finally onboard an army of volunteers that want to be part of this process, part of this ministry effort, to caption and transcribe our church media that's leaving, because it's just too much for me to handle. I can't do all of it every single week in, week out. I realize it's unsustainable for me to do it. So I'm looking for a crew of volunteers. And hopefully seeing this tool, you'll be convinced it's easy enough for you to join in. So what would you do is we would share a login and you would see this screen. And this is kind of a list of all of the different sermons that I have loaded in there. I'm just kind of working on mostly this year, and I put in a few from last year to kind of test around. I would be responsible for loading them into the system. And then you, if it's your kind of sermon to grab, and we'll come up with a way to organize around this, you would actually download that media. So some of them are not actually ones that have to be downloaded to your computer. So you can kind of save space. You don't have to worry about this filling up your computer. But so you would go to one that's downloaded, and maybe you have this one from, it's kind of a funky labeling. This is Sunday 2020, the first Sunday 2020 project of the year. This is the 7th piece of media, and it was actually the sermon from the 23rd of February. And what you've got here is you've got what looks to be, I think I can spread this out a bit, what looks to be a Word document. But it's actually tied to the audio file that's down beneath here. So I can actually play this audio file.
Okay, let's get on with our lesson here as we continue.
I can play the audio file and see the words that are being spoken. Now, this file actually ran through an automatic transcriptioning process that quotes at about 95% accuracy. So you think, oh, 95% accuracy, why don't we just run it through there and put it up online? Well, the 5% inaccurate parts of this transcript could be very embarrassing, could be for the speaker. It could be misinformation and borderline blasphemy. If it gets quite a word wrong, it might actually be saying and preaching something that the preacher didn't want to communicate, or it just might be garbled and difficult to understand, either someone watching the captions or reading the transcript. So what we would do is you as a volunteer would be going through and cleaning up the transcript. You'd be listening to the audio file. Perhaps it'd be part of your study as you're going back through a class, or you're going through a sermon series, or you're just kind of a trooper and you're going through the entire back catalog. I mean, we'll take anybody. But what you would do is you would flip this this kind of editor over to the correcting text mode. And then all you would have to go through is go through and edit it like a Word document. You would say, let's see here. Let's actually go ahead and try to get this audio piped through. I want to see if I can get this. Well, after a little bit of fussing with it, it looks like I'm not going to be able to get the audio playing very cleanly through here. And this is not a demonstration video. I can make one of those later. But yeah, you would essentially listen through the audio.
We're going to talk about discipleship, and today we're going to talk about accountability. Oh, yeah, Jazz is fired up.
Yeah, Jazz is fired up. Woo!
Which is unusual.
Jazz. So Jazz is actually her name. He's referring to Jasmine. And so we're going to make the J capital instead of Jazz lowercase like the music. So it would be kind of simple things like that, but some of them are more consequential. So you would go through and edit the transcript, and then we would come up with a protocol by way of exporting that transcript into a text version and a subtitles version, and you would post them somewhere. Or if that's too complicated, we might get to a rhythm to where I do all the exporting, and we just note down, okay, completed, and then you go through and you go on to the next one. So as you can see, a half hour, 40 minutes per sermon, and there's 52 weeks a year, and we've got 4 or 5 years, and that doesn't even include all of the classes that are going on. If you go back to the website and you go to media and you go to Sunday lessons, Bible class audio, we've got 20 pages of audio classes, and these are longer. These are an hour long or 45 minutes. That's even more. So, switch back out of this. So, I'm asking for volunteers. If you're interested in this effort, please reach out to me. I'll leave a contact kind of description in the contact info in the description of this video. So if you're interested, reach out. Let me know you're interested in the audio project or the transcribing project. And then I will gather a bunch of names and kind of create a kind of team around it. And then we'll kind of recontact everybody once we have our team formatted. That way we can be all on the same page. And so I'm asking people to reach out to champagnechurchofchrist@gmail.com, just saying you're interested and leaving your name and making sure that's an email that I can get in touch with you on. And then I'll disperse training materials and team kind of coordinated efforts of ways to know what you should be working on and things like that. In the meantime, if you're interested and you send me an email, go ahead and click through our champagnechurch.tv website. Maybe there's a sermon series or there's a Bible class that happened many years ago that you're interested in going through. That's something that you want as part of your personal Bible study, but it's also something that you could transcribe while you're doing it. I'll tell you, this ministry could be groundbreaking. This could be Champagne Church standing up and doing what's right before it's requested, but also creating an infrastructure by way of doing this for vastly more lessons and content and material. If we build up a capacity to be able to do this and for it to be lightweight enough for you to be just doing a little bit at a time, and it doesn't take too much effort, and it's stuff that you want to be listening to anyways, I'll tell you, I'm aware of entire podcasts that are very popular around the world that have no transcription. And I don't mind contacting them and saying, we have an entire army of Christian transcribers that are ready to do this on a volunteer basis. I mean, what an amazing thing that could be for our church to be providing to the world and to disciples who need this, to people who are not disciples yet and who want access to this. I mean, I tell you, when it comes down to metadata and having things, kind of these transcripts and these captions, searchability is infinitely better. You could pinpoint the second in an entire haystack full of lesson audio in a topic that you want to really dig out. We could be creating an entire reference section of our church content. And then there's years and years of audio tapes that we could capture and then keep going back into the 90s with all of this lecture or all of this lecture. Listen to me, I'm like at work. All of this sermon audio. So thank you so much for sticking through to the end of this video. I know it was a little long, but hopefully those who are interested stuck with it. And please reach out and contact me at champagnechurch@gmail.com for more information and getting on the team. Thanks.